Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zack and Sean and Ryan are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Films, brought to you by the fine folks at Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan. I'm joined by my friends Sean Coyle.
Hello.
And Brian Hall.
Hello, hello.
This is our first official recording, so just a quick heads up for those of you who are joining us today for the first time, which I assume is everybody. Movie Films is a way for the three of us to talk about the current events in film and also go back in time a little bit and either give a new look or a renewed look to movies that have impacted our lives and use those as a way to talk about all kinds of other things too. Guys, you have anything else to add to that?
I'm just happy to be here, Zaki.
I would like to give special thanks to Alan Thicke for writing our theme song.
Yes, he's a saint among men.
And writing and performing the theme song.
Did you know, by the way, that his son is married to Paula Patton?
I believe you.
Yeah, I had no idea. I just found that out earlier this week. So Robin Thicke is married to Paula Patton. Yeah, so I therefore hate Robin Thicke, is what I've decided. So we are recording on July 28th. What day is today?
29th.
29th, July 29th, which means we are 1 week after the premiere of what was mooted to be one of the biggest movies of the year. It had the third biggest opening of all time. We were talking, of course, about The Dark Knight Rises.
Batman!
Yes, so I felt like today our show should be all about Batman because I think the three of us are on the same page. We are huge Batman fans. I think, Brian, you're the biggest Batman fan among us, if I'm not mistaken.
Perhaps.
So we've all seen it by now, yes?
Yes.
Well, why don't we start things off with... We'll talk about the franchise's latest iteration. I don't know if it's the franchise's greatest iteration, but we'll start by talking about that, and then we can sort of hop in our Wayback Machine and talk about some of the other Batman movies that we've seen in our lifetimes.
Zaki, that's a fine plan. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, let's start with you, Sean. Dark Knight Rises, thoughts? And actually, before you start, folks, this will most likely be a spoiler-filled discussion. So
yes.
Please bear that in mind. I don't really want to talk about this film if we have to pussyfoot around everything. So if you haven't seen the movie and you do intend to and you don't want things spoiled, consider this your one and only warning. Off you go. Otherwise, the rest of you come on in. Sean Coyle, go.
And there's also going to be lots of bad language like pussyfoot, so.
Yeah. And Pussy Willow.
And titmouse. Okay, my thoughts on the Batman movie, sort of the short version is I thought it was a fantastic, epic, just incredibly well done movie. But as a Batman movie, I think it had a lot of problems, a lot of flaws, mainly with the titular title. See, there's another bad word, titular. With Batman, I thought that. But at the end of the day, Batman is just kind of a guy who gets fed up with it and wants to run away and gives up on Gotham, and that's not who Batman is, and it was really, really frustrating, and it kind of leaves you with this weird taste in your mouth. The movie's over, and you're like, wow, that was awesome, and I'm so happy that I was a part of that, and then like on the drive home, you're like, wait a minute, I was totally tricked into thinking that this was a better movie than it actually was.
Yeah, It's and Brian, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this because you've been holding off on our discussion about this for the past week, so that we can save it for the podcast. But just to give some framework. So the film is set 8 years after the last one, and in that time. Of course, the last one ended with a big cliffhanger. There's Batman. He's hunted. He's on the run. And he's taken the blame for a crime that he didn't commit. Why? Because he can take it.
Because perfect ending for a Batman movie. Yeah, perfect.
It really was. And so we jump ahead now 8 years, and it turns out that he really can't take it because that was the last time anyone ever saw Batman. And I mean, so right off the bat, you know, it was one of those things where right off the bat, I just had this instinctive reaction where I was wondering what was going on because I knew pretty quickly into this that I was not loving it. And my biggest issue was the way the characters are portrayed, specifically Batman. The idea that he would essentially give up on Gotham and say, oh well. You know, and in the context of the film, it's like, oh, well, you know, thanks to this deception that Batman had with Commissioner Gordon, you know, the Dent Act passed, and that's what allowed organized crime to get put away. And so in order for that to work, the Batman has to be in hiding, which is nonsense to me because what about all the non-organized crime?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that Batman would kind of be like, oh, the cops are after me, so I'd better pack it in, it just does not ring true to me on any level. And then that carries throughout. But Brian, let's have you jump in here. What are some of your thoughts?
Well, before I say the general thought, but I want to just add to that. Yeah, I remember seeing in the trailer where they were doing that little, you know, chalk symbol, like the bat symbol, and like he will return, and I was like, yes, like this is exactly the film I like cannot wait to watch. And then I do what you guys are saying. It was a little disappointing, like. You know, you have this 8-year-old boy talking to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character about, like, you think he's going to come back? Yeah, he's going to come back. It's like, he hasn't been around for as long as that boy's been alive, and he only did, like, a couple things.
Right.
So it's like, it doesn't really feel like he's this legend that everyone can put these little symbols everywhere and be like, he'll return.
That's
it's like,
right.
yeah, he did that, you know, couple things that were pretty good.
That one time.
So that was a little disappointing.
Well, I mean, Zach and I were talking about this, in the Batman Beyond in the animated series.
Yeah.
In that first episode, Bruce Wayne, you know, he's older as Batman. He's slowing down a little bit, and he has this moment where, you know, it's like a fight or flight sort of thing, where he is about to get his ass whooped, and he pulls a gun on a thug.
Yeah.
And he shoots him. So
well, he doesn't shoot him. He kind of scares the guy off.
But it's this moment of finality where, like, he's broken his own code. He's broken the Batman code, and he realizes, like, that he's not worthy to wear the suit anymore.
Yeah.
And I think if in this movie, if it had that same sort of finality where he, you know, he'd broken his own code, he'd gone against the things that he believed, where he realized that he didn't have it in him anymore to be Batman, it would have been a lot more gratifying, and I would have accepted the stupid cafe scene at the end maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it's to me, you know, what it comes down to. I'll tell you, it's the problem I had with the opening conceit of Dark Knight Rises, the same problem I had with the opening conceit of Superman Returns. Which, you guys remember, Superman Returns. The movie starts with Superman having been gone from Earth for 5 years. He straight up vanished, and then when he comes back, he says, "Oh well, I thought Krypton was still there. It turns out it's not, so I'm back. Hi." And you cannot convince me that there's any way Superman would just abandon Earth on the off chance that maybe Krypton might be there. Maybe.
Exactly.
And to me, it's the same thing here. And I feel like, I mean, this is a blind spot that I don't see how Christopher Nolan and his team wouldn't have picked up on. Which is go ahead.
No. I mean, I think that it feels to me like they got a little too wrapped up in trying to sort of connect all the dots and wrap it up in trilogy form, in true trilogy form.
Right.
By sort of taking this full circle approach and tying it into more of the first movie than the second movie. I mean, I think they maybe got a little too wrapped up in connecting all the dots that maybe didn't need connecting, and, you know, sort of lost track of what was really important, that this is a Batman movie and it wasn't really about Batman.
Yeah.
I'd argue that the last two movies really weren't about Batman.
The last two, so Begins and Dark Knight also.
No. The first one, Batman Begins, was definitely about Batman.
Okay,
but,
so
Dark Knight easily became the Joker movie, the Joker and Harvey Dent show.
Oh, okay.
And Batman was just kind of like, you know, the driving force to their stories, and we didn't really, you know, his arc didn't really progress a whole lot, except maybe at the very end.
Batman's, you mean?
Yeah, and in this, and you can elaborate on this, Zachy, because I'm stealing exactly from what you said. In this movie, his Act 1 arc is he's crippled, and he works up enough to put the bat suit back on.
Yeah.
And then he breaks his back, and then Act 2, he's crippled, and he works himself up to put the bat suit back on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this weird, it's like structural redundancy where it's like, okay, we get it, but the problem is my guess is that Nolan wanted to do his take on The Dark Knight Returns,
Right.
which is for the people who don't know, that's sort of one of the iconic Batman stories. That's from Frank Miller. It's from 1985, and it's meant to be that's Frank Miller's take on the last Batman story. And it's set at some indeterminate time in the future. Bruce Wayne is old. He's retired, and then he comes back in, and he kind of has his last blaze of glory. I think Nolan wanted to tell that story while at the same time, you have to still continue on from where you left off. And I don't think those ends really fit together very well.
No.
Yeah, because
you can't tell the final Batman story when, I guess, in the Nolan timeline, where like a year and a half previous, you just started the Batman story.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly it. I mean, when you look at the timeline in these films, between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and I wrote this in my review too, that between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, you're looking at about a year.
Right.
Maybe a little over. And then that's the last time we ever see Batman. And then he shows up again for a day 8 years later.
Yeah.
Well, this is not a legend, Mr. Wayne. That's just a random story that we heard that one time.
Yeah.
See, but that's what makes it so frustrating too, is because, again, I mean, overall, I did like the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to seeing it again today. And it's just like these little things, like if you could just change a few things throughout it, I feel like then it would fix all these problems that we have. Like just change a couple lines at the beginning where it's like he didn't just disappear after the end of the second film. Like he fought until he had, he goes to the doctor and he's no cartilage in his knees, and it's like, okay,
Right.
You know what I mean? You just fix that, and that fixes that little thing, and I felt like overall too, I think the movie was just stuffed with too many things, and if it had just been like whittled down, like, I mean, if you'd taken like 20 plus minutes out, maybe even more, and just focused on, like make it Wayne's story, like you're saying, Sean, that Dark Knight wasn't necessarily Batman's story, but like Batman Begins was. So make the third one Bruce Wayne's story, and I wasn't looking forward to the Catwoman character, because I'm not a big Anne Hathaway fan, and I actually really liked her, and I thought she was really interesting, and there were so many things you could have done, having them, butt up against each other, and so many ways you could have pulled new things out about what he believes in, and also I realized as I was walking out of the theater that it wasn't the movie I was necessarily hoping it would be, because I was trying to sum it up to someone.
But it wasn't the movie you deserved. It wasn't the movie you wanted. It was the movie you deserved.
Well, no, because I realized as I was describing it, I was describing more the movie I was wanting it to be than it actually was. Because I was thinking, he talks about in The Dark Knight that he'll stop wearing the mask when he doesn't have to any longer.
Yeah.
And I remember toward the end of the film, Dark Knight Rises, seeing, the characters of Gotham sort of hugging each other in the street, and they're under this sort of like, quarantine and whatever, and I sort of wanted it to be about Gotham taking itself back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Batman wouldn't have to, Bruce Wayne specifically would feel like maybe he could leave the mantle to someone else, but he's done what he wanted to do in his lifetime.
Yeah.
And I was feeling that when I left, but the more I thought about it, I don't think that was there.
Yeah, I mean, well, Brian, I mean, you've read enough Batman comics. I mean, does it, people are like, oh, well, we needed, Bruce Wayne deserved his happy ending and whatever, and that's, I'm not going to argue with that, but do you ever see a scenario where Bruce Wayne willingly walks away from being Batman while he's still relatively young and physically able?
No.
No.
I just don't see that.
Sorry to answer for you, Brian.
Yeah.
No.
The answer is no.
No. No.
Right? I mean, so not only does he do that once, he does it twice. At the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And then speaking of characters walking away, and maybe you guys have some thoughts on this, about halfway through the film, not even, maybe a third of the way in, we have Alfred, who's kind of reached he's reached the end of his rope with Bruce, and he says, look, if you don't straighten your act together, I'm out of here. And Bruce says, and then they have their little moment where they talk about the deception with Rachel. and Alfred says, "I'm leaving," and he leaves.
Right.
And we don't see him again until the very end. And then at the very end, where we think Bruce
I failed you, Master Wayne. I failed
that's
you.
right. So he's standing at the grave of Bruce Wayne and the parents, and he's telling he's telling the grave, he says, "I failed you." It's like, yeah, because you ditched him.
Right.
And I mean, it's fascinating to me because I've had this conversation too. People are like, well, it's Alfred. What's the big deal? And I'm like, it's a big deal because it is Alfred.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't he say it twice in Batman Begins? He's like, you never give up on me.
Yeah.
Never. And then never.
Yeah. He's like, well, this time it's like kind of. So there's a lot of, one thing that always bugs me is when you have movies that are sort of plot motivated as opposed to character motivated.
Right.
And I feel like that there's a little bit of that going on here where Nolan had certain ends in mind that he needed to get to. And so to me, in that sense, we have the beginning with Bruce Wayne, we have the middle with Alfred, and then we have the end again with Bruce Wayne. So somebody asked me what I thought, and I said, well, I had my problem was the beginning, the middle, and the end. But other than that, I'm a big fan, which sounds kind of like I'm not being serious, but that's really how I feel. Where there's sort of tentpole moments that needed to be looked after, and I think it would have made the movie itself stronger in the long run.
So it's interesting that you saw it as Alfred sort of bailing on Bruce Wayne. Like when Alfred, at the end when he's crying and he's like, "I failed you," like my reaction was like, "Don't cry, Bruce Wayne's a jerk."
Oh, because he kicked him out.
Yeah, like because he's like, "Bye, Alfred."
That's right.
I'm thinking like, Alfred, you did everything you could. Like this guy's just a jerk.
I didn't think about it that way. I mean,
Bruce Wayne is an a-hole.
Yeah, I mean it's. Yeah, I definitely the character is definitely portrayed out of character, I would say. And
to touching on what Brian was talking about, like I'm not a huge Anne Hathaway fan. This was the only movie that I've really liked her in, but I thought her character was completely unnecessary.
I 100% agree.
And I think that everything in her scenes and her relationship with Bruce Wayne that sort of progressed his story arc further, I think could have and should have been handled with either Alfred or the John Blake character. Especially if, at the end it's sort of the revelation that it's like, oh, he's passing the torch to Robin, which they shouldn't have called him Robin, by the way. That was stupid.
Yep.
I did like the torch being passed, I'll say. I just think he should have been called Robin.
Because I thought he was great. But to Brian's point, like there was just so much going on and so many characters, and that Bruce Wayne and Batman they sort of get lost under this this mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's too bad because there are like some really, really great moments. Like I really enjoyed those prison scenes. Where he has to work his way out of there, and I don't know. I read a couple places where people saying they didn't like it because it was sort of montagey, and I get that. But like I really did like him.
We needed Eye of the Tiger. That would have made the difference.
Yeah, but I really did. That got me all worked up and excited for him, and just those moments felt a little drowned out because they're lost in a sea of things.
Yeah. Well, this is a point that I've been making, and let me. We haven't really discussed the villain at all, so let's bring him into the conversation.
Yes.
Let's Bane, what do you think?
Crashing this plane.
A lot of people complaining.
Batman's a jerk.
A lot of complaints about Bane. I really liked Bane.
Me too.
I did too. I didn't mind the voice at all. I thought he was very imposing. I liked that he was very, very different from the Joker.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys felt this way, but I kept coming back to the Joker cast such a long shadow that by virtue of not mentioning him, that almost made it more pronounced that his absence.
Yeah, I was telling my brother, I felt like he needed some more character moments because he just felt like he was an awesome presence, but like he was just a lot of speeches. It felt like.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of like the Joker. I mean, how many amazing moments did he have where you get him, even though you never get a handle on him necessarily, but like where he has that pile of money and he slides down it and then sets it on fire, like that's the Joker, you know?
Yep.
And Bane never had any of those moments where I'm like, what is this guy really about, other than just sort of stating things?
Yeah. Well, I will say I think his introduction scene is at least as effective as the Joker's introduction scene.
It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
On the airplane.
Yeah.
I thought that was very well done, and I thought this the scene where we see just Gotham getting torn to crap
Yeah.
through explosions, that was very well done, and I really liked his presence, but what it came down to for me, and I thought about this after the fact. You know, you guys remember at the end of The Dark Knight, you know, the Joker's dangling upside down, and he says, you know, you and me, we're gonna be doing this dance for a long time, or something to that effect.
Right.
And it's like, well, no, not really.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to jail, and you're gonna stay there, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, again, this is one of those things where obviously they don't really have control over it. But if you're doing the last, quote unquote, the last Batman story, how are you not going to have the Joker be the last Batman villain?
Right.
So I mean, it's I feel like Nolan boxed himself in, because the only one who wanted him to do it as the last Batman story was Christopher Nolan.
Right.
Right.
He could have just as easily left the door open at the end for more adventures to come. And to that point, I mean, we've obviously got a much broader scope of conversation to discuss. So I'll wrap up the specific Dark Knight Rises conversation, but I think the end of the film essentially breaks the vase in a way that they have no other choice but to reboot it.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that was specifically Christopher Nolan's design, so that Warner Brothers couldn't do to his movies what they did to Tim Burton's vis-a-vis Joel Schumacher.
Right.
I'm sure that factored into it.
Yeah, because if you look at the way he structured it, there is no room for a Batman, for like a traditional Batman story after or even between.
Yeah.
And if he's like, no, Batman disappeared 8 years ago. You know, there's no way to go in and be like, well, we're going to go tell the untold stories.
I mean, I feel like Christian Bale has sort of run his course as Batman,
Yeah.
and I feel like the sort of Nolan version of Batman has sort of run its course. I would prefer that the next time we see Batman is either in a Justice League movie or in a Superman Batman movie.
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree. Totally agree. I think that's the only way to go.
Yeah, it's. I think that would be the smart way, because Batman Begins has basically done the Batman origin for
Right, yeah.
forever and always. We
Yes.
never need to see that again.
I agree.
We don't need another Amazing Spider-Man situation where off we go again, and there's Bruce's parents, and we get it.
Yeah.
So I think that would be smart to ideally in some kind of a Justice League movie, because unlike all the other characters who are going to need sort of introductory films or whatnot, Batman, well, it's Batman. Everybody knows him.
Yeah. How did they know? How did they build a statue that looked so much like Batman at the end of the movie?
Because he's Batman.
But how do they know? How do they know what he looks like?
Sean, because Batman.
Because he's Batman, okay?
And another thing. Oh no! Seriously, one more thing though. That actually
It'd be funny if the statue looked like the Adam West Batman. They just assumed that, well, there's a guy in a suit. I mean, he must have. It's like, and Gordon's like, he didn't look like that, you guys.
One more quick thing.
Yes.
I am tired of when you see a sequel
Yes.
and they're referencing characters that were in previous movies
Yeah.
via photograph.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the photographs looking like
Headshots.
freaking production stills or headshots.
Well,
Like the
okay.
Maggie Gyllenhaal picture was so stupid. Remember in Last Crusade when they had the Sean Connery pictures? It was like a still from
in King of the Crystal Skull.
In Crystal Skull, yeah. It was like a still from Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Like a production still. It was so stupid. Stop that.
Well,
Stop it now.
I felt like if we pulled out, it would be like Christopher Nolan directing her. He just cropped it and framed it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, one. I know you already said last point, but one last point, and this might be just a pet peeve for me, but a lot of people really loved the reveal at the end about John Blake being, you know, his real name is Robin. What I don't know the full his name is Robin John Blake, I guess. I mean, which is fine, I guess. I don't blame him for going by John Blake, but my issue with that was that what Nolan does with that is effectively closes out Dick Grayson
Right.
from this universe.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting into kind of fanboy territory, I guess. But I feel like, well, Dick Grayson as Robin, as Nightwing, is, like, he's Batman's heir.
Yeah, I think, yeah, they could have easily just been like, why don't you go by your real name, Richard Grayson or something, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
right.
I mean, it's one of those things where...
Because he says he grew up in a foster home, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe his birth name is Richard Grayson.
No, it's Robin John Blake.
Yeah, no.
They said it in the movie.
He should have just winked at camera when she said it.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, we see at the very end, Alfred makes eye contact with Bruce Wayne, and there's Bruce Wayne chilling in Italy with Selina Kyle, who is, by the way, never referred to as Catwoman. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, she's never called Catwoman. But that, to me, honestly, when I saw Bruce Wayne sitting there smug and smiling, I wanted to smack him in the face.
Yeah.
Because I was like, are you kidding me? Your city still needs you.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that guy who has not had the 15 years of training that I had. I left him a bag of my crap. He's got this. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's just listening to this again. It's just like, but I did like it. Like I had fun watching it. It's just if you just fix these few little things, you know, and like again going back to Bruce Wayne being in that pit and having to climb himself out, and the whole moment where they're like, you know, the reason you can't make it, you know, if you want to make it, take off the rope. And I was like, oh, that's yeah.
That was
And like
great.
he should have been tormented down there by so many different things. Like he should have been thinking about Alfred.
Yeah.
He should have been thinking about like I don't know. You know, it's just if you just tweaked some of these things and streamlined it a little bit, it could have been such a more powerful journey for him. And then you could have still had that ending just under different circumstances, and it would have felt more satisfying.
Well, I feel like, you know, between Lucius, you know, learning like who fixed the autopilot, and between Blake having that stuff left for him, like we get it that Bruce Wayne is still out there,
Right.
and I feel like seeing him, you know, sipping wine or whatever he's doing at some cafe, that undoes that, because to me, you know, and this is Christopher Nolan, who's so good at sort of implication. If he just implies, you know what, Bruce Wayne is still out there, he's still doing his thing.
And Alfred tells him that in the movie. That's what he's pleading to him. He's like, you know, Bruce, you don't have to be Batman. You can beat these guys with your resources and your smarts and your wits.
Yeah.
So like that, I think that ties that idea together. But then you're absolutely right. Like you just see him chilling out on the veranda.
Yeah.
You know, wine and cheese, not a care in the world.
I mean, if you guys remember, the shot is we have a POV shot of Alfred, from presumably Bruce Wayne's point of view, as he makes eye contact and he smiles, and I was just like, cut away now. Cut away. We don't need to see anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if Warner Brothers made them put that in, or I don't think so, because I think Christopher Nolan probably has carte blanche to do whatever he wants, which is it makes it a very weird choice.
Yeah.
I was saying the same thing to some people that I work with, and their argument to that was like, well, then it's too much like an Inception ending where you don't get it. And
No, I disagree with that, because
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's clear. We just don't need to see it.
Yeah.
You know, it's assuming your audience isn't stupid. Which, you know, but you know, it's funny. I keep having to couch everything I say. I did not hate the movie, and overall there was a lot that I liked about it. You know, and Brian, like you say, I find it difficult to disagree with that. I think a few nips and tucks here and there would have made it a stronger experience overall.
I've always tried to live by those words. A wise man once said, I forget his name, if you realize it 3 days later, then it's not a plot hole.
Yeah, that's a smart guy who said that. But I will say that was a problem.
His name was Ziggy Zuki. I think his
Ziggy Marley? You know Ziggy Marley.
Zach Hansen. I will say though that was an issue that I did have, because this was stuff. A lot of this stuff was I noticed it as I was watching it.
Right.
And that was what bothered me. And one last point. I think overall the structure would have worked better if he had never quit being Batman.
Yes.
After the Dark Knight, if he spent 8 years fighting the fight, and by the time we see him in The Dark Knight Rises, he's spiritually and physically broken, which makes Bane defeating him that much more powerful, I think.
Yeah.
And then we have Act 2 where he sort of, his rise is both spiritual and physical. But hey, the movie's
And
out,
more
it's
nudity.
made. What do you do? What do you do?
Sean and your nudity. Look, it's just sometimes it has its place.
Boobs.
When in doubt. So we've just spent about half an hour talking about the last Batman movie, or at least the latest Batman movie. We all know it's not going to be the last Batman movie. So I thought, given the context of this discussion, let's expand it out and jump backwards a little bit and talk about the previous version of the franchise, and I think we can tie in the previous films as well. 1989's Batman is very much a seminal film for all three of us, I would say.
Yep.
Because we're all kind of in that exact perfect age range that would have been the target audience for this film. It came out June 23rd, 1989. Did you?
Yeah.
I know. It's amazing,
Yeah.
Seminal, definitely.
And
Another dirty word.
That was a joke.
Seminal.
so, did you guys go opening day?
Boobs. Go ahead, Brian.
I did not actually. I have an interesting story about how I first saw this movie. If you'll recall, when this film came out, there was a big hubbub about how violent it was.
About the original Batman.
About the original,
Well,
the 1989 Tim Burton Batman.
the Tim Burton
and
Batman.
I remember, Inside Edition would be like, should this movie have been rated R?
Wow.
And so my parents were actually concerned about it, and they didn't let me see it in the theater.
Is that right?
And so the way that I first saw it was when it came out on video, a friend of mine was having a birthday party, and they were going to watch Batman.
Okay.
And so my parents were like, fine, go watch Batman. So I go over there, and, there's pizza and games and everything, and all the kids had already seen it. So, they start the movie, and they're all talking through it, and I was like, be quiet, everybody! I was like, I have a film to watch. And so that
and
was...
then they beat you up.
So I remember everybody else doing whatever, and I had my chair pulled up all the way to the TV, and that was the first time I saw it.
It's funny that you talk about, well, not funny, but it's ironic, I suppose, that you talk about the level of violence that people had a complaint about with that film, and then now, obviously, with the events last weekend,
Right.
with the theater shooting, again, it's kind of like, is Batman too violent? Like, we're having that same conversation.
Yeah.
It's sort of bitterly ironic. These conversations never end. I think that's the takeaway there. It's an ongoing thing about the level of violence in film and whatnot.
Yeah, and watching it this week, just in preparation for this, I was, as an adult now, and having seen it a million times, I was a little surprised. I was like, wow, this movie really is dark. When
Yeah.
Joker is shooting Grissom and, got the music going, and he's shooting him repeatedly after he's dead in the chair. And
Yeah.
it's pretty dark.
Well, it's really interesting to look back at the Tim Burton Batman now with the benefit of 23 years of hindsight, if you can believe that. 23 years.
Jeez.
And you realize how the current age of superhero movies that we're in right now, if the Richard Donner Superman was the grandfather, then the Tim Burton Batman is the father. The father.
Right.
In that, going back from '89 to now, there really has not been a let up in comic book movies coming to the screen.
No, that's a good point.
And it all started with Burton because that was really the first time that. Not the first time, because obviously there was the Donner Superman, but I think it was the first time that Batman was taken seriously in many, many years outside of the comics. And it's very interesting to watch now and compare how Tim Burton introduced us to his Batman universe versus how Christopher Nolan introduces us to his Batman universe. Because I think they're both valid interpretations. They're just very, very different.
Yeah.
What struck me is that Batman it seems like a supporting character for the first third of the Burton film.
Yeah.
And as I actually just watched it last night to get ready for this, the first Burton movie, and what struck me is that Michael Keaton is great in that movie.
Yeah.
But I could never see him in the Christopher Nolan movies.
No, not at all.
Like,
Yeah.
in other words, it's almost like he was the perfect Batman for that specific construct of Batman.
Yeah.
and Bruce Wayne. I thought his take on Bruce Wayne is just fantastic. He might be the best version of Bruce Wayne that we've seen. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I remember people were saying the same thing about the Joker, too, where it was just like, all right, Jack Nicholson's interpretation is over.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true at all. I mean, rewatching it last night, he's awesome, and he's scary, and he's effective, and yeah. So it's just apples and oranges.
Yeah, it's to me, I don't like getting into the, well, my Batman could kick your Batman's ass conversation. But I will say this about the Joker. I think Nicholson is fantastic as the Joker. Yeah. But it's, and this struck me yesterday, and I'm surprised it never hit me before. Maybe this is just one of those things where you watch a movie enough times and eventually the issues sort of rise up, like you suddenly realize them. By giving the Joker an origin, it takes away him being the Joker. Because when you think about it, who was he before his accident? Well, he was this kind of eccentric guy who wore purple suits.
Yeah.
And was a hood.
Right.
Well, he's exactly the same after, except now he has a white face. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why Heath Ledger's take on the Joker was so great was because he kept telling a different story about his childhood to everybody.
Yeah.
Just like it gives you like this guy's a total crazy pants.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you think about it, by making the Joker Jack Napier, well, he kind of stops being the Joker a little bit. Like when he's ordering, like Bob the Goon, and that's just Jack.
Right. Yeah.
And he's just a little nutty, but that's Jack. Same old Jack, I feel, and that's like a weird, when you think about it, like we spend so much time with the Joker's origin that Batman's origin is thrown in sort of just as an afterthought.
Yeah.
And even then, that's the Joker's origin too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. That hit me last night as well when I was watching it. I remember the scene, them reenacting what happened to Bruce Wayne's parents and everything, but I forgot how it's just sort of tucked in there.
Yeah, it's kind of tossed in as an afterthought, and I wonder, it's difficult to say in hindsight because at the time I didn't have any problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time when you're like, 10, 11, 12 years old or whatever, you're like, holy crap, it was the Joker that killed Batman's parents?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, of course. It makes sense. Now you're like, well, that's ridiculous.
Right.
It's kind of the level of coincidence that we see with like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, where Sandman killed Uncle Ben, and Lizard is his teacher, and Doc Ock is his friend, his teacher's friend, and Venom is his wife, or what, I don't know. It's.
I can't believe we're even mentioning Spider-Man 3 in this episode.
Well, I'll tell you, I took all kinds of grief because in my review of The Dark Knight Rises, when it went up at Huffington Post, I took grief from a whole mess of people who were saying, how dare you compare this movie to Spider-Man 3?
I saw that.
Yeah. And
the worst parts of it are exactly like Spider-Man 3, that's why.
I will say, I think we have an issue with like part 3s of superhero movies.
Right.
Because between X-Men 3, Spider-Man 3, and to a lesser extent, but still there, Dark Knight Rises, they're plagued by a lot of the same issues.
Wasn't Superman 3 the one with Richard Pryor?
Superman 3, fair enough. Now, Superman 3, I'll always have a soft spot for, not because it's a good movie, but because that's the very first movie I ever saw in the theater.
Oh, wow.
So that's momentous for me.
I think mine was Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, really?
Yeah, I think. Wait, when did Wrath of Khan come out? Because I have memories of seeing the earwig crawl into the guy's ear.
Wrath of Khan was 82, right? so
that no, I would have been too young.
Yeah, so that you probably saw that on TV.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, so definitely it was Jedi.
It was Superman 3 for me, and then the second movie I saw in the theater when I was 5 was First Blood. which just tells you my parents were, I don't know what was going on when a lot of decisions were being made, because it has blood in the title. How old are you? 5? Okay, off you go. And I remember being horrified because my brother told me that it was Rocky. So they spend the first third of the movie just tormenting Rocky.
Why are they torturing Rocky?
Yeah, I was like, what are they doing to Rocky? There's a part where he has this psychotic break where he remembers he's back in Vietnam, and the guy has like a knife that he cuts his chest with.
Yeah.
And you hear him and I swear to God, this will stay with me for the rest of my life. I still remember the way he screams, like he's having his chest cut, and he's like, and I remember going out of my mind watching that. And today I think about that, and I'm like, it has blood in the title. Come on, guys, really. Let's pretend we're concerned about my well-being.
And then they made a cartoon about it, remember?
Then they made a cartoon, and I had Rambo action figures. So
Yeah, I did too. I had a Rambo play kit, and it actually came with his little necklace, medallion, whatever you want to call it, and a rubber knife.
and the machete.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's I don't even know what to say to that. I miss the '80s, I guess.
Were you like an 8-year-old kid on a playground, like burning your own wounds?
Yeah, exactly.
Like wounds on the playground.
Stand back, lest I have another flashback.
You got the red bandana and everything.
Yeah.
You know, but speaking about merchandising, I mean, do you guys remember what a phenomenon Batman was?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, the T-shirt. Everybody had that T-shirt.
Yeah, the T-shirts, the
Good
posters.
segue, by the way, Zachy. That was smooth.
It's what I do. I think in my lifetime that was the first time I really became aware of like selling a movie.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
It was everywhere, and I maybe Return of the Jedi was like that earlier, but I was still too young to fully appreciate that. But Batman was where I became fully aware of it, and this is interesting too because this is the pre-internet age.
Yeah.
So for me, I lived in Saudi Arabia at the time, so we used to come back to the States every summer. So I didn't even know about the existence of this movie until maybe 3 weeks before it came out.
Wow.
Which I kind of miss that almost. Because we're in an age now where like we know everything about a movie from the moment they make a deal for the script or whatever.
Yeah.
But the very first time I became aware of it, and I will never forget, the first image I saw was of Keaton as Batman, and he's firing that little bat gun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys know the still I'm talking about. And I remember the first time the first time I became aware of Michael Keaton in any form was I saw a poster. It was Batman standing in front of the Batmobile. It's that famous image, which I'm sure you guys have seen.
I had that poster, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, and it said Michael Keaton, Batman. And I remember my very first reaction to that was, who the hell is Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
Everyone knows Adam West as Batman.
Right.
Ah.
That because I had no concept. I found out later about how he's a comedian and how there was a lot of controversy about his casting. I didn't know anything about that. Because to me, I was just like, no, Adam West is Batman. Hello.
So you were a dull boy.
I was a bit of a dullard,
Wait, now, did you guys...
Zachy.
I didn't put this together. I saw this on like Reddit or something. But did you notice the parallels between Dark Knight Rises with Batman running out of town with a bomb and the 1966 Batman movie? He's running around.
Yeah, exactly. Some
days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
and they found different solutions.
Yes. Yes. Well, there were no nuns walking down alleyways
or
blocking
ducks.
Christian Bale.
Or swimming ducks.
Ducks. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody actually photoshopped a picture of Adam West holding like the nuclear bomb from the Dark Knight.
Amazing.
Somebody photoshopped that. It's funny actually because until I saw that picture, I didn't make the connection.
No.
So I guess Sean, to answer your question, I am a little bit dull. But
going back to the merchandising, wasn't that another, where everyone talks about George Lucas was brilliant because he got all the merchandising rights for Star Wars and now he has his own empire.
Right.
But then for the Batman films, Jack Nicholson, didn't he have something worked out where he received a percentage of merchandising?
Yeah, he had a cut of I believe everything that used his likeness.
Oh, okay. So just Joker flavor.
SOB.
But he walked away with a crazy amount of money. I want to say it was like $45 million. That might be a little high.
Oh my gosh.
But it was enough. I mean, it's having Nicholson in that film gave it immediate credibility.
Yeah.
It was the equivalent of having Brando in Superman.
Yeah, because what was Tim Burton coming off of? Was it Beetlejuice?
He had just done Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically before Batman, he had done Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I believe was his first feature.
And one of the greatest movies of all time.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a great flick. Yeah, and Beetlejuice. And so Batman was very much his vision But what also is very interesting is that I think it's one of the least Tim Burton-y movies
Yeah.
in his entire catalog. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I was really
absolutely.
impressed with how confident his direction was while I was watching it last night. I mean, the vision, of course, is one thing, but even just like camera movement and placement. I mean, it's a very confident film.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that he got right was to never show Batman in the daytime.
Yeah.
And that's something, jumping back into Dark Knight Rises briefly, the whole end confrontation, there is something really goofy when you see Bruce Wayne in the bat suit walking around in the daytime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's something less threatening about it and just kind of silly about it.
Well, to that point, I feel like that too could have been a real powerful moment in The Dark Knight Rises if, the idea that this is the first time anyone, like in other words, things are so dire that now the Batman comes out in the day.
yeah.
And and everyone sees him for the first time, and here he is fighting for Gotham. I mean, that could have, I don't know, man.
Yeah, so many little things.
Yeah, I mean, like, if there was some real build-up to that, I think it would have worked better. I honestly, I feel like, and again, yeah, we're jumping back and forth, but I feel like with Dark Knight Rises, I think Chris
We're allowed
Nolan,
to do that. It's our damn show.
That's right. Yeah, so screw all these people complaining. These imaginary people who I picture complaining. I feel like Christopher Nolan...
In fact, let's do 5 seconds of dead air. Now.
Okay, we're back. I couldn't do it.
Do whatever you want.
I think Christopher Nolan is tired of the series. I mean,
So he is Bruce Wayne.
well, I mean, maybe to some extent.
tired, guys. I just want to go and sit at a cafe.
In a weird way, I think you're onto something there, because I mean, it's he came back and did it out of kind of a sense of duty, and I think he was just ready to be done with it.
Yeah.
And so, you can't blame him. I mean, it's almost 10 years of his life put into it. But I think I don't know. I think it's a weaker film as a result of that.
I'll say, I don't know that that's necessarily it. What I think, that he's tired and did it out of obligation. I just feel like he had a lot of things he wanted to do, whether or not they were organic to this necessary conclusion of the story.
Yeah.
And he just tried to make them happen. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I'm sure you guys are aware. The film is basically a merging of the Nightfall storyline from the comics, which is where Batman's back breaks, and it merges that with the No Man's Land storyline, where Gotham City is basically cut off from the rest of the country.
And see, that's the thing. That's proof enough that you can't just say well, it was his take on the Batman universe and the Batman character.
Yeah.
It's like he's pulling directly from storylines.
Yeah. Totally, and then of course we have the Dark Knight Returns influence, where it's meant to be the last Batman story, and maybe it was just too ambitious. Maybe his reach exceeded his grasp. I don't know. To me, Christopher Nolan on a bad day is still, most directors on their very best day.
Right.
What do you guys think of the I guess the evolution of the Batman suit, the movie version of the Batman suit? Because it feels like to me that by the time we get to the Christopher Nolan versions,
Yeah.
we're almost in the same place when we started. They just they do a better job of explaining why.
Yeah.
Because underneath it's we need padding for your head so you don't get a concussion, and it's all this other stuff that all this muscle memory, whatever.
Yeah.
Like they try to solve it with science jargon, modern technology.
The memory cloth. You mean the fabric, the memory fabric?
Yeah.
Well, are we talking? We're talking about the entire series going back to 1989, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if you compare the Christian Bale in the bat suit,
Yeah.
he's not that different than Michael Keaton in the bat suit, I guess.
No.
Mm-hmm. They still have the stupid painted, the black eyeliner.
Right.
I don't know. You shouldn't be able to see Batman's eyes. One thing.
Well, I mean, would you say he should have the white lenses or something? I mean,
I don't know, something like it. It makes him less threatening when you can see that there's a real person behind there.
yeah, but that's almost like, I mean, how do you get around that?
No, just little things. But
Yeah.
why have they never just had a buff guy in a cloth costume?
Well, Well, I don't know, Brian. What do you think about that? About how essentially going back from '89 to now, all of the bat suits that we've seen are basically part of one continuum.
Well, I was thinking, watching the '89 movie, for it looking as putty-like, I think they even say it's like putty.
Yeah.
In the movie, it seemed like indestructible. You know, he can
Yeah.
be shot at like point-blank range. And then in the new movies, he's like, well, if you get stabbed or if you get whatever, like there's a lot of like weak points in it,
Yeah.
which I thought was sort of interesting. I forgot that the previous version had been sort of indestructible almost.
Yeah. Well, you know, I will say this. I think that I have a special fondness for the way the Michael Keaton suit looked in the very first film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it still looks amazing, and it's intimidating. And when we see him sort of swoop down in the chemical plant sequence when
Yeah.
we first see him,
Yeah.
I mean and the way it's lit and everything else, and the way Keaton looked in it. By the way, I think he had the eyes and the face that for it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think in those original 4 movies it ever looked better than that suit.
I agree.
Yeah. And I do like I remember one of our friends was saying that he didn't like in the Nolan movies how he could move his head. He thought that's losing that silhouette
Right.
of the cowl
Oh,
made it
that's
less
right, yeah.
intimidating. But I mean, I don't know. It never really bothered me just because of the way that universe was set up. You know, the functionality of all of it. I thought it all. I don't know. I thought it made sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think when you talk about functionality, I mean, when you have a Batman who can't turn his head,
Yeah.
that's one of those things. I mean, I was 10 years old and I was like, why does he move? Like, why does he move his entire body? You know,
Yeah.
that's it's one of those things where it's if you remember in Batman Returns, he at the end of the film he unmasks
Right.
by like tearing the mask off,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that seems like a design flaw to me.
Yeah.
Where that's what he has to do, you know.
Right.
And then I was like, hey, where's your eyeshadow? You know.
There was something cool. A friend of mine at work was pointing out that there was something cool about seeing Christian Bale in the bat suit without the mask when he's in the bat cave talking with Alfred.
Yeah.
Sort of discussing their plan. There was something very cool looking about
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's very iconic. It's very comic booky.
Yeah, and Batman is supposed to be kind of graceful and blending into the shadows and can appear and disappear like in the blink of an eye. So I think just Christian Bale's a buff dude, man. So
Yeah.
just put him in a cloth suit with a big black cape and let it be more graceful looking than it was.
Well, you know what I wonder though. I mean, because the three of us, we're coming from sort of a comic book place,
Yeah.
and that's not really a hard sell for us. But I wonder if, in the minds of the public, Batman sort of has to have that Iron Man setup, otherwise it won't be believable.
Yeah, I mean, because let's
Yeah.
pretty much since the first Superman movie.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve in the Superman suit is really the only time that the simple cloth suit really worked
Right.
in the movies on the big screen.
Yeah.
Like when the X-Men movies came out, they sort of reinvented the look, and they're all in these like tight leather suits. And even the Spider-Man movie, it's not like it's exactly. There's something very sort of CG looking about the suit, even though it wasn't CG.
In Spider-Man.
Yeah, almost like it's this weird sort of painted effect on the body.
Right.
And that's part of that's just the art direction, I guess. But yeah, like in Iron Man, you need the suit, obviously.
You need the armor. Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like Batman's always been more like James Bond to me. He's the smart guy. He's the detective with all his little gadgets.
Right.
He's not walking around in big body armor. Like big rubber suits that people should be able to hear. They should be able to hear him sneaking up on you.
He should be like, shh, shh, shh.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I will say though that in the next film, whatever that may be, like I think, yeah, it would be pretty cool if they did go with the more of the cloth thing, and his gadgets and his intelligence is what keeps him safe. But I really did watching Batman Begins recently.
Yeah.
Again, like I liked the whole explanation of it. It was this idea for military that they just couldn't afford, and he's. It's such a grounded film that he really did need. He needed to be protected from, a lot of the stuff he endured. It didn't bother me.
But
for
yeah,
this
no,
universe.
it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me, but I do wonder, like, I feel like audiences will go along with a lot if you like. You don't need to do too much. So if you're basically like, yeah, this is fabric and it's got like a thin Kevlar weave underneath it, but
Yeah.
it basically looks like cloth. I think most people would be like, okay,
Right.
So I think to that point, I wonder, in a Justice League flick, that would be the time to kind of go back to formula a little bit,
Yeah.
because they'll want to separate it in some noticeable ways from the Nolan version. So maybe the easiest way to do that is to get him out of the
Right.
out of the armor.
The armor. Yeah. That
Again,
definitely would be
modern
my armor.
technology. Yeah.
If I were patrolling the streets, I would put on all this armor, but you wouldn't be able to run so well.
With,
Yeah.
with the armor.
Stop running!
Yeah, well, it reminds me of it's one of those things where the practical reality of the costume mixes with the fictional reality of the world it's in. I remember reading a story about how like 20 years ago, Walt Simonson, who's a comic book artist, was drawing. He drew a RoboCop versus Terminator, which is a comic book miniseries, and the cover of one of the issues that he drew had RoboCop running, as he's going after the Terminator, what have you, and the company that owned RoboCop at the time, which I think was Orion, they basically came back to him and said, well, you can't show RoboCop running. And he said, why not? And they said, well, because we don't see him running on screen because the suit will fall apart.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, well, this is a hell of a city where you've got RoboCops who can't run, and you've got those Ed 209 robots who can't go downstairs.
Right.
Law enforcement isn't what it should be.
That would be funny. You spend all this money on a RoboCop, and it's like, oh, he can't run.
Yeah, it's like just don't give chase, and he will be great.
Yeah.
It's his major design flaw,
Yeah. He can turn. It just takes a little while.
and he makes a lot of noise. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. Movies
please.
in segments.
No, seriously, just stay still. I need to ask you something. No, for real. I just want to ask you a question.
I'll be
Stop
there.
running.
I'll be there in a second. But we're going off on these little tangents, which is fine. But the '89 Batman led to the '92 sequel, and that sequel, Batman Returns, has. It seems like it's grown in estimation.
No, let's go back to the '89 Batman.
So you're not a fan then, Sean, of Batman Returns?
I don't know. I think the Tim Burton Batman, I think, and you've already said this, the '89 Batman hit us all at the perfect time in our lives, in our young, somewhat naive, I guess, innocent movie-going minds, and like the Danny Elfman score and just the scope of the movie, and that it was so different, and Batman was so awesome, and just the symbol and the suit and the fucking Batmobile and everything about it, and even like. Even factoring in things like, the Batman ride at Six Flags.
Okay.
They had that whole Gotham City environment that you have to walk through, and they're just pumping, like, the soundtrack music, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, there was a while there where I felt at times that I was just like, I was a part of this Batman universe, and it was amazing. And I loved every second of it. And so looking at these movies in hindsight, like, you go back and I was worried that I would find sort of like a cheesiness quality to the first movie.
Uh-huh.
And there isn't. The first movie, I think, is just a solid, really, really great movie from start to finish. And then I think in Batman Returns, I think it gets a little too goofy and silly, and I don't know, Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Well,
And,
I would say it gets too Tim Burton-y.
It's a total Tim Burton wet dream. Definitely.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that as recently as the others, but even at the time, I just remember, like, this doesn't feel like what I've been feeling since that first movie came out.
See,
So even at the time, I didn't really like Batman Returns.
yeah, and you haven't seen it since.
I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago was probably the last time I
Okay.
saw part of it, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm of two minds of Batman Returns. I feel like of the original four movies, of those four movies in that cycle, it's probably the best film, quote unquote. In that, I think it's very well made. I think the production design is terrific. I think the score is even better than the first one. I just don't know how good of a Batman movie it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, but Brian, what do you think?
Well, in the '89 film, I also love. I was just going to add with the stuff that you were talking about, Sean, with the score and all that. But also, I just love. I noticed the sound design.
Mm-hmm.
Where all the guns sound like old Warner Brother gangster film gun
interesting.
noises. And all the bad guys are wearing pinstripe suits, and it's a stylized Batman film.
Yeah.
And then I think Batman Returns is a Tim Burton film.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, and
with Batman in it. But but that said, I do like it actually, and I think a lot of it may come from me seeing it when I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I was that age, I really wasn't thinking much about what was in front of me. I was just enjoying what was in front of me,
Yeah.
and I think that's carried over. And I still do like that movie, but it is very, very different.
It's.
than
I mean,
the first
it's
film.
after Batman, rightfully, Tim Burton got free reign to do it his way,
Right.
and so he got to make a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting is by virtue of that, I think Michael Keaton is much freer in the sequel, and his we get to spend a lot more time with him, and we get to see more of sort of the Keatonness that he brings to it, and I really enjoy his version of the character a lot, by virtue of what we see in both of those films.
Yeah.
I love like his take on Bruce Wayne is just so interesting. It's this he's completely out of his depth any other time when he's out of being Batman essentially.
Right. He's most comfortable when he's Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, and we see that in the '89 movie, man. There's this great bit that just so perfectly encapsulates that, and you guys know what I'm talking about. It's where it's the big party scene.
Yeah.
And he meets Vicky Vale and Alexander Knox for the first time, and they have kind of like their meet cute.
Yeah.
And we see him being kind of wiggy, and he's like, "Oh, should we open six?
Right.
Oh, six is good. You guys know what I'm talking about." And then Alfred is kind of like, "Oh, Commissioner Gordon had to leave very suddenly, right?" And then at that point he takes off, and they're kind of like making fun of him basically. But then we see him in the Batcave. And we just see in his face. He doesn't say anything. It's just in his face. We see like this is where he's home.
Right.
Yeah.
Focus.
And really like Keaton is not really underrated because I think most people recognize that he was really great in that role. But I mean, you wish he had more films to really expand on his version of the character.
Right.
Yeah. A little bit of a tangent, but I found it interesting that in the '89 Batman that nobody knew Bruce Wayne's face.
I was about to bring that exact thing up.
That was really, really interesting. I mean, in this day and age, obviously, anyone with that amount of money, especially in your little city, everybody would know who he is.
Yeah, the
That was really
idea that
interesting.
Vicky Vale, of all people, a journalist, doesn't know who Bruce Wayne is.
Yeah.
Which that almost feels like a plot hole to me.
But again, it's 3 days later. We didn't notice it the first time.
Right.
It's funny because you talk about plot holes that you don't notice. Forget 3 days later. This is one that just occurred to me. It's the original Superman movie. I was watching it with my kids last week, and it's the scene where Lois Lane is on top of the Daily Planet, and she gets in the helicopter. The helicopter gets stuck. It crashes. Remember that?
Yeah.
And she's there dangling. So a total pandemonium ensues. People are screaming. People are shouting. And then we cut down to the bottom of the building. Out walks Clark Kent. He finds Lois's hat on the ground, and he looks up, and he's like, "Oh, crap." Now think about this for a second. Now think about this. Clark Kent is inside the Daily Planet when this happens, about 5 floors above him. He's Superman. He can hear a hypersonic dog whistle across the city. How does he not hear a helicopter? You guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I've seen this movie I don't even know how many times, and it just suddenly occurred to me. So I don't know. Does it constitute a plot hole if you notice it 30 years after the fact? I don't know. But how has nobody else picked up on that? You know what I mean? I can't be the first. Because later in the movie, you see Lex Luthor sends out this hypersonic signal that only dogs hear,
Right.
and he's like, "Superman, I want to talk to you," and off he goes. Meanwhile. So I guess this is one of those things. Another thing, this is my wife brought this up, where we were watching Batman Begins last week, and if you remember, he's off in Tibet or wherever with Ra's al Ghul and those guys. And you remember he basically it all kind of breaks down when he says, "I'm not going to kill this guy. I'm not going to be an executioner."
Right.
And then all hell breaks loose. After which, like, everybody in the compound dies.
Right. yeah.
So it's like, well, you don't want to be an executioner there, Bruce, but
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that guy he wanted to save also died.
But in his mind, he's like, "No, I didn't touch him. Didn't touch him. I didn't touch anybody."
That's like, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
but
that guy, when he wouldn't kill him with a sword, what a lucky break for me. And then the building blows up.
Right.
Yeah. But then, in 89 Batman, Bruce Wayne's just blowing everything up.
Yeah. The Batmobile has machine guns.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't like handguns specifically. Machine
yeah.
guns I'm okay with.
Rocket launchers are cool.
Assault rifles, those are all fine, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you want to know something completely random that I noticed? In 89 Batman, in the scene where Joker has taken over and he's meeting with all the crime bosses, and he's like, "I'm the new president." As the camera is panning all the gangsters, one of the gangsters is the old librarian from Last Crusade.
Oh, that's
who's
right.
snipping the book.
That's right.
I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy.
So that guy had a busy summer.
Yeah.
It's like, we need you to be a random old guy who doesn't speak. That actually makes sense, because they were probably both shot in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that would make sense. So, random old English guy.
Yeah.
The Joker versus Batman relationship, I think, in terms of overall screen time, it seems pretty clear that the Joker is the main character in Batman. I mean, would you guys agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, we alluded to this before. What do you think about how they tied it together with his origin? Where it's kind of like, you made me, I made you. Like, does that work?
I don't know, man. The 80s were a different time.
What does that mean?
This is when Yahoo Serious was on the rise, and just the world was a different place.
Those words make sense, but that name doesn't.
Yahoo Serious Film Festival. I don't like
The 80s were a different time. You're talking like it's the Vietnam era,
Yeah,
Those are crazy times, man.
because I was 10 going on 11 when this movie came out. So at the time, like, I didn't care. It was like, it was almost as big as Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father.
Oh, okay.
Just like, holy cow! Like, it was the Joker. Oh my god! Like, it's all coming together.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old little mind almost exploded at that moment.
Yeah. Well,
And,
it's funny because I think I mentioned this. For me, other than the TV show, really the Burton Batman was really my first exposure to that universe.
Yeah.
And I started reading the comics after.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to me that as I was watching this last night, it came back to me how the first time I had ever heard of Harvey Dent
Right.
was in that film.
Billy D.
Yeah, it was
Billy D.
Billy D. Williams. Who, guys, how great a Two-Face would he have been?
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree.
I mean, what a and apparently he got paid for not being in Batman Forever.
Yeah.
So good on him.
Nothing
Yeah.
against Tommy Lee Jones. He's a fine actor, but yeah,
Well, the problem is that Tommy Lee Jones, he looks like Two-Face after the accident. He's got a very... that's mean. I'm sorry, Tommy Lee. I'm a big fan.
and he's sitting right here.
He was. He just got up crying and ran out.
I don't like you much either, Jackie.
I'm not going to kiss you. I felt like they missed the boat with Two-Face and Batman Forever in a lot of ways. But, just seeing Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent, he would have been a great Two-Face.
I agree.
But in that movie, I don't know, he would have fit in. He's a little too laid back.
Yeah.
That movie was so loud and spastic. And
He's laid back in the film?
no, just Billy D. Tommy Lee Jones basically shouts
Yeah.
and wears, hot pink stripes in that movie. And it's just like Billy D would have been like, come on, guys, let me flip my cone here. You know what I mean? Like,
I used to work at the Pentagon. Now I'm getting my chicken on. That's from what movie was that?
Undercover Brother.
Undercover Brother. That's right.
Yeah, Zaki's not a racist. That's right.
Yeah, just to clarify.
God, one episode, we're done.
Yeah, I gotta go, guys.
A little soft here.
It's like, guys. No, but I mean, he was such a handsome guy. I mean, he really would have fit that.
Yeah.
The whole purpose of that character is that he's, he's super handsome, and then he becomes hideous.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that I knew of the existence of Two-Face, but I didn't know that he was Harvey Dent. So
Right.
later on, I read one of the comics, and they're like, "Oh, Harvey Dent, Two-Face," and at that point, I made the connection.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and again, I sort of missed that, like, being able to discover this stuff,
Yeah.
and that's, part of that's just because we're old now, so we don't really get to have that thrill of discovery, but I remember that, and the series, I don't know, those 4 films, to me, it's almost like 2 separate series,
I agree.
because other than Michael Gough and Pat Hingle reprising their roles, it just feels they're tonally just completely different.
Totally.
So it's almost like we've had the Burton Batman series, we've had the Schumacher Batman series, and we've had the Nolan series.
Let's not forget the animated series.
Of course, yeah, and the animated series, to that point, I think it started out very much indebted to what the movies were doing,
Right.
but then it just kind of became its own thing. And I think that Christopher Nolan took a lot of inspiration from the cartoon show too, I would guess.
That original cartoon series is still my favorite on-screen interpretation of Batman.
Now why is that?
First of all, the voice. I think Kevin Conroy is the best Batman out of anybody.
Just in terms of his voice, yeah.
Yeah. And even as Bruce Wayne too, like his Batman voice and his Bruce Wayne voice, it's very similar. The differences are very subtle. But man, just like the universe still feels sort of like this expansive, superhero-y universe with all these different, villains, weird-looking villains to choose from. But at the same time, it didn't feel silly, and it didn't feel,
Right.
it didn't feel like Ninja Turtles silly or anything like that.
Right.
And just again, it was another one of those shows that I think just hit us all at the right age, where we were sort of growing up a little bit, and we were sort of growing out of more cheeky kids cartoons, and then all of a sudden there's this fucking awesome Batman superhero cartoon waiting for us after school every day, and
Yeah, they had guns.
They had guns?
yes, there was danger in these.
Yeah.
In these
Well, and I remember the very first episode, which is the pilot episode, is called "On Leather Wings," and Batman fights Man-Bat.
Yeah,
And in that, you get to see Batman's face gets cut up, and you see blood.
yeah.
And that was kind of a big deal. I feel like Batman the Animated Series was at that time. Let's see, that started in fall of '92, so I was about to turn 13. So that was that age where you start leaving cartoon shows behind. And I felt like Batman the Animated Series was a way of saying, well, I don't have to,
Yeah.
because it's okay for me to watch this. And when you look at Batman the Animated Show, and also when you look at the films too, the level of talent they've been able to attach.
Oh yeah.
On the cartoon show, we're talking voice actors.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had some amazing actors. They had, Batman. I'm just off the top of my head. They had John Glover was the Riddler.
Yeah.
Roddy McDowall was Mad Hatter. Mark Singer, I think, was Man-Bat. Michael Ansara, Mr. Freeze.
Bull from Night Court. He was in an episode.
Richard Mall, he was Two-Face.
Yeah.
He was,
That's right, yeah.
He was Two-Face. He was a great Two-Face, yeah. Henry Silva was Bane. Speaking of Bane.
Yeah, it was a great show because it wasn't just about good guys versus bad guys.
Yeah.
It felt like there were consequences, and it felt like that there wasn't always an easy decision for the character. Like G.I. Joe, which I think is still great, entertainment.
Yeah.
It's just, it's straight up good guys versus bad guys. There's
Right.
no complications. There's nothing, Cobra's trying something evil.
And no
G.I. Joe's gotta stop him.
fatalities.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles, Shredder's trying something evil. We stop them. Everybody, has a good laugh, and then next week it's the same thing.
Right.
But this, there were episodes where you felt like, geez, I don't think Batman's going to make it out of this one.
Yeah. Oh, and Mark Hamill is the Joker, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
How could I forget that? Yeah. I think that at this point, between what we're at now is where one Batman cartoon ends and then another one picks up.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen in the last 10 years, where basically the animated series version of Batman ended via the Justice League.
Right.
But before Justice League even ended, you had the Batman.
which started off kind of wishy-washy, but turned into something pretty great itself.
Yeah, turned into a pretty good show, and then we had the Brave and the Bold,
Yep.
which also just ended, and that's man, I'll tell you,
Batman
I love.
Beyond.
Oh, and Batman Beyond in the middle there. That's right. So
Yeah.
that was in the late '90s, and then now there's the new show coming up, which is called I don't know what it's called. Beware the Batman.
Okay.
Beware the Batman. So I mean, it's amazing how this character is able to stand up to so many different interpretations. I think that's more than any other superhero character. I think Batman can just keep going, and you can have these. And I'm sort of contradicting myself a little bit, where it's like, well, you can have the Tim Burton Batman, and then you can segue into the Joel Schumacher Batman, and then you can segue into the Nolan Batman, and it just keeps going and going. I don't think you can say that about any other superhero.
Yeah. I find it interesting, though, bringing up all these different versions, how no one's been able to crack Egghead.
Was that a pun right there?
It was. It was, and I didn't even realize it.
Egghead
But,
was, of course, played by, you guys know who played him on
Vincent
the TV?
Price?
Vincent Price, yeah, on the TV show. And the TV show, they've been showing that they show reruns of that on the Hub, which is the Hasbro-owned cable station.
Right.
And I watch that with my kids because I can't watch the Christopher Nolan movies, and I thought I might be able to watch the Tim Burton Batman with them. And then yesterday, while my wife was out, I watched about 15 minutes, and my 3-year-old was like, "This is scary, stop!" And I was like, "Damn it!" And usually what happens is that his mom comes home and she's like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "Oh, Baba had us watch the scary movie," and I get in trouble. So I was like, "All right, well." So
You just
I
show him First Blood, you want him to...
yeah, well,
grow up
next
like you
week,
did.
RoboCop.
Yeah.
I watched RoboCop, by the way, for my 8th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, so again, what were people thinking?
Yeah.
I
I remember that was like a sleepover movie. Like, you'd sleep over and it'd be on HBO late at night, and I'd watch it and be like, there's a whole world I don't know about out there.
Of drugs and violence, and
Yeah.
I'll buy that for $1. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
That RoboCop was the first movie I remember seeing where it was like profanity every 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. It was
Like-
intense.
Yeah, and it was profanity where I was like, I don't even know what that means, but that sounds really clever. So that movie actually did warp me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We'd agree as your friends.
Yeah. We'll have to do a RoboCop episode one of these days, I think.
Yeah.
Has there ever been cussing in a Batman movie?
Cussing, well, there's shit. Does that count?
Who says
You're
shit?
talking about in content or the word shit?
Well, both. The content was Batman and Robin in '97. The word was in the first one.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I
They say it a bunch of
forgot,
times.
but there's a couple curse words.
All
It's
right.
Lieutenant Eckhart says, "You're full of shit, Knox."
Yes.
That's I remember that. And actually, I'm just thinking about this. It's been long enough now where so many of the people who were in that movie have now passed away.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Eckhart was played by William Hootkins,
Yep.
who you guys would know as Jack Porkins.
Orkins.
Porkins.
Oh, all right.
With a name like that, he's going to be fat. It's just also interesting about William Hootkins. I was looking him up. He also played in the 90s. There were a series of Superman radio shows that the BBC did, and he played Lex Luthor.
Huh.
So he's also,
get Superman.
well, he actually is like a very menacing, evil-sounding Lex Luthor. It's, the guy had some range, vocal range, anyway. On screen, he was just kind of the fat guy.
So was he always kind of like, gotta get Superman?
Well, a little bit, not as effete sounding, but a little bit.
I'm not sure.
But William Hootkins passed away. Pat Hingle, who was Commissioner Gordon, passed away.
Pat Hingle.
Pat Hingle, who they wasted Commissioner Gordon in those movies.
Yeah.
Gordon.
What's that?
I'm just repeating everything you say in a sexy voice.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We've only
Yeah,
got
they
a
have
few
no
minutes left, so that's
relationship,
why.
really, do they?
They have none,
Batman
zero.
and Commissioner Gordon.
And it tells you something
Gordon.
that in the fourth one, they had to replace. They made Batgirl Alfred's niece.
Schumacher.
Yeah, well, but it makes sense because there is no real connection, right, between
Right.
Gordon and Batman. But Pat Hingles passed away. Michael Guff was Alfred. He passed away.
Yeah.
Jack
Hi,
Palance.
Uncle Alfred.
Oh my God. That movie. Jack Palance was Carl Grissom. He's also
Oh yeah.
yeah. And then Robert Wall is still alive, but he was an Arliss. So
Bravo.
it's kind of the same thing, you know.
When was the last time Arliss got name checked?
Well, I think
Today.
we've filled the quota for a while now, right? Poor
Dude, he
Robert
used to do
Wall.
those cool history shows on HBO. You ever see that? Where he does these like 30-minute things where he's teaching a class. He just
Oh yeah. No,
he
you're
just
right.
talks like stream of conscious about like
Robert
these
Wall?
really weird, like
Yeah,
interesting
really?
historical things.
That's so random. I've never
It's
seen
like a
that.
really fun show.
I've never seen that.
I mean, he might have only done like 3 or 4 of them, but they're pretty good.
And then they got canceled for low ratings.
I probably.
Yeah.
Look him up,
that-
Zachy.
What's that?
Look him up. I dare you.
I should.
Look up
I'll
Robert Wall.
IMDb
See what
it right
happens.
now. Robert Wall in that film, though, was pretty redundant. I don't know. That's one thing I really noticed yesterday was why does this character exist?
He's a wacky sidekick guy.
But he's almost like the main character for the audience.
I was just gonna say, yeah, he's sort of like so we can understand how the city views Batman, I guess.
Is that effective, you think, Brian?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't honestly think about it until my viewing last night.
Oh, okay.
So maybe not.
Yeah, if 20 years later, it's not a plot hole.
Yeah.
No, he
Yeah.
appeared in The Bodyguard.
Really?
Yep, he's in The Bodyguard as host of the Oscars. I'm on his Wikipedia page right now. And he's,
I was like, how did you remember that?
and he
When
plays.
did you see The Bodyguard?
Yeah, I have not seen. I've never seen The Bodyguard. I have never seen that film. Yeah, he's also a judge on the TNT series Franklin and Bash.
Oh, with Zach Morris and the other guy.
Yeah, John Arbuckle.
Yeah.
Zach Morris and John Arbuckle. What's his name? Breckenmeyer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Breckenmeyer. You remember in the Garfield flicks?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So in the Batman themed podcast, we have now mentioned RoboCop, Arliss, Garfield, Egghead,
well, Egghead counts.
And Franklin and Bash.
Franklin and Bash.
Franklin and Bash. That's
And Yahoo's serious.
Yahoo Serious. Can't forget that. Yeah.
not too shabby. Not a bad morning's worth of work. So I think just as we're fighting the clock here a little bit. So just to pull things full circle here.
What did we ever do to the clock?
Yeah, I know it's mean. It's cruel. The clock is a cruel mistress. But I think Sean, you have places to go.
I do.
Yeah. Is that your Batman voice?
That'll be a good Batman.
No, this is my Batman voice.
No, I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, I think we're all in agreement that scene when Catwoman disappears in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
He turns around and she's not there, and he's like, "So that's what that feels like." Try to imagine it. Like, is that how he talks to himself when he's dressed up as Batman?
I actually did think of that. That when he's alone and he talks like that, it's a little like, huh.
Like when he's just flying the jet back to the Batcave, is he just like, "Oh, I can't believe that I can't believe I let that bad guy slip through my fingers." No,
Well,
I gotta.
you know what's really interesting about the Batman voice. You know, you're talking about Kevin Conroy, and you know what he got.
I hope
is-
Alfred's not making lasagna again for dinner. I can't take it.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'll get that.
I think my favorite bit of overdoing it with the Batman voice is in Dark Knight, where when the boats don't blow up,
Yeah.
and he's like, "What this city showed you," don't get me started.
Relax, buddy.
Yeah.
You won.
But
Jesus.
what Kevin Conroy really got is that the Batman voice is like 1 degree removed from the real Bruce Wayne voice.
Right.
And
And,
then-
the
and-
Bruce Wayne voice is the disguise.
Yeah, so the Bruce Wayne voice is a little bit more showy and out there, so that when he's in the Batcave and stuff, that's a lot closer to where he'd actually be. I think Conroy nailed that in a way that that's what makes the Christian Bale stuff a little bit too obvious.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that it seems very forced. But yeah, so I think we all agree that the Dark Knight Rises is a flawed finale to the trilogy. I don't know how it'll flow on a second viewing, but we'll certainly have to give it a shot. Brian, you said you're going later today.
Going this afternoon. Looking forward to it.
I am planning to check it out again, so I'm hoping it does improve on the second viewing. But man, those plot holes definitely did bother me.
Yeah.
Fun fact, again, stealing directly from something Zachy told me a while ago.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kevin Conroy appeared with Tim Daly, who voiced Superman,
No, that's right.
in an animated series together. And Kevin Conroy was actually up for the role of Joe Hackett in the comedy series Wings, which Tim Daly eventually got.
That's right. That's true. So
So their paths have been connected for quite some time.
that's right. It's fate.
Yes.
Everything's connected.
Don't you all feel better knowing that?
I do. I'm going to
So
tweet.
there's an awkward lull at a cocktail party, folks, this week, and you want to bring something up.
You guys want to know what Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly have in common?
People will say who and who.
Ooh.
Well, they might when they're not as informed as us, right?
I guess. I just don't like dissing Tim Daly. His web series is pretty funny.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen, go to YouTube, punch in The Daily Show. That's DALY show, and it's a series of web shorts that Tim Daly has done with his son Sam, and it's just, I mean, my
I feel
goodness,
better.
just hilarious. Yeah, very funny stuff. So we've covered a lot of ground today. I feel like we have a lot more we can talk about with these films, and I'm sure in future entries we'll certainly have the opportunity, just based on the amount of ground we covered today. But we're reaching the end of our time for today, so I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity. Any final thoughts, Brian?
I'm just happy to be here.
Sean?
I like you both. I think you're both fine individuals. And I think everybody listening is also a fine individual.
I agree with that. Anybody who's taken the time to download this show and give us a listen, you're, of course, by definition, a good person.
And
I'm looking forward to future conversations.
Me
I
too.
think you're both unconventionally handsome.
Unconventionally. All right.
I'll take it. You can't say
Yeah.
unconventionally handsome without handsome. So, not a bad first episode, gentlemen. I think we'll have a lot more to talk about in 2 weeks for the next episode of the Movie Film Podcast. As I said, this was our very first episode. We are Mr. Boy Productions. On behalf of Brian Hall and Sean Coyle, I am Zachy Hassan, and we will see you at the movies.
Welcome, friend, it's the